is quite neat. So,
Okay, cool. So
okay,
that's
fine.
So Purim.
So yeah, we have very Once again, shall we? Yes, we
Yes,
will.
thanks, Anne.
We do this first. Let me take one of them. Oh no, I already did. Crazy. Do you want to do once again? Read, sing. Shall I say which? I can sing about a whole bar. How about a lamb?
Okay.
Shema, yes. Ahavta.
And then is this silent?
Yeah. The man. Nichamocha.
Yep. Shall we read that?
We'll read that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adonai
Then this we read this because this is the short version.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to lead that? 'Cause
okay.
you probably know it's from yours.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Also shalom and sing, and then we have blessing for the, and then we can do the chanting of the very beginning.
That's beautiful, isn't it? And yes, it's a Hamelech scroll.
Yeah,
so
and you can see
it's really very special.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
So
we had it special.
We can all do the blessings together. Oh, it's gorgeous! It's gorgeous. So you'll read the first bit?
Yeah.
And then we'll invite people to come and read a chapter each. So
I
1,
think so.
2, 3,
10.
4.
Although we have a bit.
7,
so
8.
This bit is chanted in one breath.
So will you do that?
Yeah. And then 10.
So 9 and 10. So we need 9 people.
Yeah.
9 readers.
Absolutely, yes.
So then at the end. Can you sing Shoshana Yaakov?
I have one melody, but I don't know if you have to say Shoshana Yaakov, Tzorah V'Samecha, V'Otam Yaakov, Tefelet Mordechai.
Yeah, you sing that, that'd be good. And then Aleinu.
Yeah, sing. And then we read.
Yep.
So shall you sing, you read?
Yeah.
And then
we'll
do this all together.
Yeah.
And
then like Purim.
Yeah.
And
cool.
Are we going to say anything before we start Purim?
Maybe, I think so. I think that it's not as exuberant as we normally do, and that we want people to donate, because that's one of the things that we do. And I have already written my thing, when
such a shame.
which is I thought it was, yes, I wrote it on, it was bizarre, I thought untangling on Tuesday, and as I was teaching I found myself getting worse and worse. It was hot then, shivering, everything was aching. I felt fine on Tuesday. It's
very nice.
Anyway.
Do we need those batteries?
No, I don't think we need them because I think they can hear us, it's fine.
I've seen that outfit worn by a slightly younger, slimmer person. further down.
Mother Brown.
That's the knees up.
Yeah, knees up, Mother Brown. There you are. It's definitely looks like a category. You know what? This was in the roving room in Desperado. So Simon was at the
Oh, Simon couldn't have got into that.
but I don't know why it was there.
Simon could not have got into that. With all
And
the will
this
in the
was
world,
there as well.
he would have hat.
It's
He liked-
official really.
He liked a hat like that, but he could never have got in that. Not unless you've altered it somewhat.
No, it's actually too wide for me.
Still that.
He would never have fitted in that. Awfully.
Yeah, no, I don't know, but it was, and I thought it was a pity to throw it out.
I think you're right, but it's...
I know, it's it comes from magic.
I don't know. All I want to know is go to visit Rome if you want to go in the square. And it's all
There are
busy.
lots of
You just walk through.
You'll get the free pass.
They'll let you through, and then they'll go, oh my God, it's a woman.
Well, you just said that, all of that.
Going to go and jump it.
No, it's not too bad. I came along the A46, so it's not traffic. Coming up from Bush, there's one that's coming up. Yeah, another one just before you get
Yeah, it's outside. You know what
Tower Hill has got a problem as well. You can try and go to North to go home. You're already. It wasn't already. Yeah, we can get, we come up from Watford. Yeah, not Watford, because of the way the lights are across the You know exactly who it is.
Quick sip.
Okay, shall we start? Okay, let me just.
Kathleen, where are your children? Where are your children? Yes.
So you're the youngest. You're the youngest of the youngest.
So Shabbat Shalom, everyone, because it's still Shabbat.
Yes.
Do you mind just closing the door back there? As well, thank you. Do you want to come and sit over in the middle? Come on.
Come on. Yes.
And then because it's difficult to talk to everyone here and then you over there.
Yeah.
So you've got two poorly rabbis at the moment. One with no voice at all for singing, I'm afraid, and one with not very much puff, but she's going to be able to sing for us. So we're going to be a bit of a double act in that way. I'll read and she'll sing.
We'll just,
So we're going to start with our... so also a warm welcome to everyone on Zoom. Hi there, Zoomers. Where's the camera? Is that it up there?
I think so, yes. Or there, one of those.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we're going to begin the Havdalah ceremony, which separates Shabbat from the rest of the week. Time has stood still, but now the Sabbath is ending. Soon everyday life will start again. We feel regret at the transition from rest to toil, from peace to struggle, from holy to mundane. But the resumption of the daily round also raises fresh hope. Perhaps the coming week will bring us nearer to the time of which the Sabbath is a foretaste, when good will triumph over evil and joy prevail over sorrow, the time when the process of redemption will be complete.
Now, it's hard with the hat on. Now we're going to sing this. My version will be slightly different, but just join in and it will all be fine. It will all be fine. In El Yeshuati eftach v'lo efchad ki ozi v'zimrat ya Adonai v'yehi li Yeshua ושאבתם מים וששון ממעייני הישועה לאדוני הישועה על עמך ברכתך סלע אדוני צבאות עמנו מי ישכב לנו אלוהי יעקב סלע
אלוהי יעקב סלע. אדוני צבאות אשרי אדם בוטח בך. אדוני הושיע, המלך יעננו ביום קוראנו. ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה וששון בעיקר. כן תהיה לנו כוס ישועות, אשאו בשם אדוני אקרא. We're going to light the Havdalah candle, which will be held by a man in black. Maybe there are some aliens around, but you won't remember.
It's got dynamite on the side.
The fruit of the vine, says the psalmist, gladdens the heart. With it we celebrate in anticipation the day implicit in God's promise, when the joy of the Sabbath will fill the hearts of all God's children and endure forever.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן בורא פרי הגפן.
The heightened spiritual awareness which the Sabbath confers is fading now. The Neshama Ra, or the added soul as our sages called it, is departing. As it does so, let these spices console us. For as their fragrance lingers, so something of the spirit of the Sabbath will remain with us, if we let it, in the weeks to come.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא מיני בשמים בורא מיני בשמים די די דה 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 די די דה 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 די 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 דה 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 די די דה דה די די דה דה.
Drop it over here.
It's not. Does it burn? Just slightly solidifies his hands.
Oh.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so hold it high. The rabbis tell us, as night descended at the closing of the world's first Sabbath, Adam was afraid and wept. And then God showed him how to make fire, and by its light and warmth to dispel the darkness and its terrors. Kindling light is a reminder of our first labour on earth, a symbol of civilization and an expression of hope. Soon this candle too will be extinguished, but the memory of its brightness will endure. Don't stand underneath the smoke alarm.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא מאורי האש בורא מאורי האש.
As a people called to be a kingdom of priests, we have been taught to distinguish between sacred and secular, holy and mundane. The distinction is real but not final. The commonplace can be sanctified. That is our task. As we conclude the Sabbath, we remind ourselves that the time of redemption will come, but is not yet.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המבדיל בין קודש לחול בין אור לחושך בין יום השביעי לששת ימי המעשה. ברוך אתה אדוני המבדיל בין קודש לחול.
As the Sabbath ends, we give thanks once more for its blessings. The moment of its passing is bittersweet, but we let it go in the sure knowledge that the Sabbath will return
So we're just
forever.
going to put this here because we've been using all our senses for the Havdalah. We see the flame, we smell the spices, we feel the warmth as well, we sing and we hit. Now we're going to hear the extinguishing of the flame. So, yeah.
Okay, now get the
Okay,
mic
yeah.
close.
Close to the mic.
Right in there.
Mic.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Oh no, we're not there yet. המבדיל בין קודש לחול, חטאותינו הוא ימחול, זרענו ירבה כחול, ככוכבים בלילה.
Shavua Tov.
Yeah,
we'll sing it again.
Oh, we sing it again. שבוע טוב. יום פנה כצל תומר, אקרא לאל, עלי גומר, אמר שומר, אתה בוקר וגם לילה. אליהו הנביא, אליהו התשבי, אליהו הגלעדי, אליהו, אליהו, אליהו הגלעדי, במהרה בימינו יבוא עלינו, עם בשורות טובות, ישועות ונחמות. מרים הנביאה, עוז וזמרה בידה, מרים תרקוד איתנו,
Sorry.
במהרה בימינו תביאנו אל מי הישועה, אל מי הישועה. Now we end with Shavua Tov, which means a good week. And I think, well, having studied at Leo Beck College, there always was a tradition that we would then sing Shavua Tov in any language that we know. And there were lots of students from lots of different countries there. So we'll try how far we can come. Just any language you know, and the melody is very easy. Shavua Tov, 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 Shavua Tov. Have a good week, have a good week, have a good week, a week of peace. Have a good week, have a good week, have a good week, a week, a good week. Now, in Dutch, een goede week, 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 een goede week. Romanian, maybe?
In bon semaine.
French semaine, un bon semaine, that's French. Un bon semaine, un bon semaine, un bon semaine, un bon semaine, un bon semaine. Ein gute Woche, 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 ein gute Woche. Any other languages here? Well, next time we do more. So we've now gone into a new day. From Shabbat we went, well, into Purim.
Medicinal.
So we see you all have a nice hat. If you want to change your headgear in the middle of the service, you're very welcome to. You know, of course, that when we read the story of Purim, if we have a certain name, we just read this morning that we should blot out the old memory of Amalek and Haman. Is an Amalekite. So we blot out his name by making lots of noise. We have lots of gruggers over there. Or you can stamp your feet, you can boo, you can do whatever you want to do to make lots of noise. We also... Yes, lots. We...
Also the alcohol.
Yeah, Purim is the only festival in which it is not forbidden to get drunk. The Talmud even says one should drink so much that you won't know the difference between blessed Mordechai and cursed Haman. So we were talking about how complicated that whole statement is, but there is some alcohol in the bag as well, and you can pour yourself. But not Alexander, I don't know where he's gone, but keep an eye out on him for him.
So we also, I talked about this morning, and I know that we've both been thinking very much about how we celebrate Purim when we're in a time of mourning, when it's so very difficult because of, we are still a people in mourning following October the 7th, and while there are still 134 hostages in captivity in Gaza, and while the suffering is going on so much, both in Israel and in Gaza. So our Israeli colleagues have been thinking very much about this as well. Some people have fasted on Ta'anit Esther, which is the fast of Esther, which happens 3 days before Purim comes in. So that was on Thursday. So some people in Israel chose to fast first and then have a Purim where they could still rejoice, but it's definitely a bit more muted than normal. So, but also we realize that we must still live, and we still have permission to feel joy and to rejoice. So we do that, but we also do that in the knowledge of what we're holding, which is both of those things, immense kind of brokenness and sadness, but also the joy of the festival, and we're commanded to rejoice on the festival. And I was sent this morning this beautiful piece by Rabbanit Esti Rosenberg, and she wrote this beautiful piece, which is about the permission to rejoice on Purim. And she wrote it to the captives, to the injured, to the traumatized, and said, we don't feel any less for you because we rejoice today on Purim. So we're not doing a Purim spiel this time. So our celebrations here are a bit more muted than they would be normally. But still, we'll still make lots of noise when we hear Haman's name and
rejoice, just in a slightly less way. Just open the art doors to indicate that we'll start our service. So, and I hope you all have the booklet, and we will try and grope our way through it. I think it's an indication that you all have to join in with us as much as you can. And indeed, don't forget to, if you need to lubricate your throat, there is some drink in the back. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov bishkanotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohaleich Leah mishkanotayich Rachel. And we go straight into Shema and its benedictions. And now I know there are different traditions for liberal and reform, and we invite you to just feel at home. This is your home, and those of you at home definitely is your home. So if you want to stand at certain moments, if you want to bow for certain things, just do what you are used to. And if it's all a bit of a balagan, in Dutch they have a name for that. They call that a Jodenkerk, a Jewish church, because it's always meant to be a little bit messy. So we turn to the Baruch Hu. Baruch
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chochma potech she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla. Adonai tzavaot shemo. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם ולילה נגי יומם ולילה, באהבתך אל תסור, ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב את עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך בכל נפשך בכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. When we read second and third paragraph of the Shema in silence until the mantis go in the middle of page 6. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם בארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני Adonai Elohechem.
All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, eternal one, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule. Then full of joy we sang together.
Nichamocha Elim Adonai Nichamocha Elim Adonai Nora Tehilot Ose Telel Tehilot
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Let's read together. Grant, eternal God, that we may lie down in peace, and let us rise up to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your wise counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield us from sickness and war, from famine and distress, and keep us from wrongdoing. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are our guardian and deliverer, a gracious and merciful God. Guard our going out and our coming in, that now and always we may have life and peace. We praise you, O God. May your sheltering peace descend on us and all who dwell on earth. Let us stand for the Amidah. Adonai Safatai Tiftach Ufi Yagit Hilatecha. Adonai Safatai Tiftach Ufi Yagit Hilatecha. Let us read together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotzeinu ve'imotzeinu Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah mechayei meitim ha'el hakadosh. Habinenu Adonai Eloheinu ledad drachecha umol et levaveinu liyiratecha v'tislach lanu lihyot geulim v'rachakenu mimachov v'tein baracha al pnei ha'adama v'sa nes lifdot ashukim v'hadrichenu b'mishpat tzidkecha v'hatoim elecha yashuru v'yismochu tzadikim v'vinyan irecha ובצמיחת קרן ישועתך, ומלא ברחמך כל משאלות ליבנו. שמע קולנו אדוני אלוהינו, שאותך לבדך ביראה נעבוד. הטוב שמך ולך נאה להודות. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום. We take just a moment's silence for the meditation. Please be seated. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. And now we come to what we really came for the reading of the Megillah. Now, you've got a Megillah with you, and we have a Megillah here as well. This Megillah was commissioned by, when we were still M&S, Middlesex New Synagogue, so it was newly written, and it's a beautiful Megillah.
And as you can see, even from a distance, and hopefully those of you online as well, this is what they call, actually what you can see here. It's like a little tree. I think it's more like a peacock, because that's over the word HaMelech, the king. So this is Melech scroll. And you can see every column starts with the word HaMelech, the king. And of course here, this is towards the end where, spoiler alert, the sons of Haman are mentioned. We won't tell what happens to them. So it's tradition to fold it so that it's being read like a letter, but I think we'll read it as a scroll because it would damage the scroll a little bit. So we read it as a scroll. And of course this one is handwritten on parchment. There are lots of other scrolls as well. Lots of people have paper scrolls which you can use of course as well, but this is a proper Megillah.
We need 9 people to read. Who's happy to read a chapter? They're not very long.
In English?
Yes, in English. Okay, Judy, yes. Yes, 1, 2. Anyone else? Ruth? Okay, Sharon, a short one. Sharon, okay, lovely. So that's 5. Come on, guys, we need another 4. Thank you, Judith. Dario.
Yeah?
Yes. Good. And Harry, excellent. Well done for volunteering, Harry.
Fantastic.
So hang on, let's see which one will be for Sean. He wants a short one. So it could be 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Or 8.
Yeah. Well, 9 is indeed fairly short because then
So let's do
yeah. Or 8.
Yeah.
8. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right. Right. So, as it's a mitzvah, well, before we go, so there are 4 mitzvot connected to Purim. And Alexander's just run out because on the way from shul this morning he was telling me all 4 of them. So he can't spill the beans. What are the 4 mitzvot for Purim? Yeah, the 4 M's. One we already have here. Megillah, reading the Megillah. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, So one of them is you give at least 2 presents of food to your friends. 2 because it's in plural, so so 2 is the minimum. And also you give to 2 to charity, 2 charities, or in Holland it used to be the tradition. Actually, anything that looked a bit like a church service was that they would go around with a bag for money, and they put in 2 coins of the currency in the bag on Purim. So that was the tzedakah that we did, and that's what we would also like to focus on, is giving tzedakah. It's because we're not doing a Purim spiel. Now, that is 3 M's we have come so far. What's the last one? What's the last M? It's a very Jewish thing. Eating. That's Mishte. Yes, having a feast. And we haven't quite a feast, but we have something to nosh as well, of course. So, because reading from the Megillah is a mitzvah, we're going to say blessing. So, at the same time, as I said already, Talmud says that you should be happy, you should drink something, and so drink is coming around as well. It's boring, yes. Even Victoria can have one.
It's water.
It's just, yeah. Vodka means little water, small, innocent, little water, a little bit of water. Yeah. Right. Also, I do hope you all have your brogers at the ready. You want one? So, yeah. Do you all have Gretel or something?
You're not driving us.
Right.
That's the end of that.
Right. Are we ready? So let's say the blessings together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שעשה ניסים לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. And then finally, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ויהי בימי אחשוורוש הוא אחשוורוש המלך המולך מהוד ובת כוש 27 מדינה בימים ההם כשבט המלך אחשוורוש על כיסא מלכותו אשר בשושן הבירה בשנת 3 למלכו עשה משתה לכל שריו ועבדיו חיל פרס ומדי הפרטמים ושרי המדינות לפניו בהראותו את עושר כבוד מלכותו ואת יקר תפארת גדולתו ימים רבים 81 יום.
Judy, do you want to come to the first chapter for us? Yishar Kochech. That's right, Haman doesn't come in till the third one, so you're all right.
Please. I have to coordinate too many things otherwise. It happened in the days of Ahasuerus, who reigned from India to Ethiopia. In the 3rd year of his reign, King Ahasuerus gave a banquet for all the officials and courtiers in Shushan. For 180 days he displayed the vast riches of his kingdom. At the end, the king gave a 7-day banquet for all the people who lived in Shushan. On the last day, when the king was merry with wine, he ordered Queen Vashti to be brought wearing only a royal crown to show her beauty to the people and the officials. But Queen Vashti refused to come, and the king was very angry. What shall be done, according to the law, to Queen Vashti for failing to obey the command of the king? He asked his advisers. Memucan, the wisest of his ministers, answered, Queen Vashti has committed an offence not only against your majesty, but also against all the officials and all the peoples and all the provinces. For the queen's behaviour will make all wives despise their husbands. It's all right, it's all right. Oh, I've lost my place now. If it please your majesty, let a royal edict be issued to you, and let it be written into the laws of Persia and Media that Vashti shall never again see King Ahasuerus. And let your majesty choose someone else to be the queen who is more worthy than she. Then all the wives will treat their husbands with respect, high and low alike.
Good luck with that.
The king approved the proposal and sent dispatches to all the provinces of the kingdom that every man should wield authority in his own home. Not likely. Not likely.
I'm sure you...
women on the beach.
Yes, seriously.
Use the phrase, keep flying pigs.
But Paul, I'm sure you always have the last word. And it's probably yes, yes, dear. Actually, we didn't ask anyone on Zoom to read, which is a bit of a shame. So, chapter 2. Okay, Philip? Yeah, come on in.
Yeah. Yes.
No chance. When King Ahasuerus' anger had subsided, and the thought of Vashti, his ministers, proposed, "Let your majesty appoint officers to assemble beautiful young women at Shushan, and let the maiden who pleases your majesty be queen instead of Vashti." This proposal pleased the king. In Shushan lived a Jew by the name of Mordecai. Yay! Of the tribe of Benjamin. Yay! He was foster father to Hadassah, or Esther, his cousin. She was very beautiful, and when her parents died, Mordecai adopted her as his own daughter. When the king's new edict was proclaimed and many girls were assembled in Shushan, Esther was too taken to the king's palace. Esther did not reveal her people, for Mordecai had told her not to. Every day Mordecai would go to the palace gate to learn how Esther was faring. Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus. It's
You have to do it with a sneeze.
Look, I'm doing it in Babylonian. So, and he loved her more than all the other women. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. At that time, while Mordecai was sitting in the palace gate, Bigthan and Teresh, two of the king's guards, plotted to assassinate King Ahasuerus. Mordecai learned of it and told it to Queen Esther, and Esther reported it to the king in Mordecai's name. The matter was investigated, and the two were hanged. This was recorded in the book of Annals of the king.
Right.
Now we have to
Ruth?
make sure that we are ready.
Chapter 3. Enter the villain.
The lioness of Judea.
Oh, a Judean lioness.
Sometime afterward, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, as head of his officials. All the king's courtiers in the palace gate bowed low to Haman, as the king had ordered, but Mordecai would not. When Haman saw that Mordecai would not bow to him, Haman was filled with rage, and having been told who Mordecai's people were, Haman plotted to do away with all of the Jews throughout the kingdom of Ahasuerus. Excuse me. In the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, a poor, which means a lot, that's a lottery, not big quantity, was cast before, and it fell on the month of Adar. Haman then said King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people dispersed among the other peoples in all the provinces of your realm, whose laws are different and who do not obey the king's laws. It is not in your majesty's interest to tolerate them. If it pleases your majesty, let an edict be drawn for their destruction, and I will pay you 10,000 talents of silver. I suppose that would make up for all the money they'd spent on the 6-month bender. The king removed his signet ring from his hand and gave it to... and said, the money and the people are yours to do with as you see fit. On the 13th day of the first month, issued a decree in the name of King Ahasuerus and sealed with his signet ring to exterminate all the Jews, young and old, children and women, on one single day, on the 13th day of Adar.
Today, yes, today. Number 4.
I'm going to do my... So where do I start? From here?
Chapter 4, yeah.
Oh, excuse me. When Mordecai learned of this, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes. He went through the city crying out loudly and bitterly. When Esther... when Esther was informed about this, she was greatly upset. She sent clothing to Mordecai to wear so that he might take off his sackcloth, but he refused. Then she sent a messenger to inquire from Mordecai why he was doing this. When he delivered Mordecai's explanation, Esther sent to Mordecai, everyone knows that any person who enters the king's presence without having been summoned, he will be put to death. Only if the king extends the golden scepter, you may you live. Now I have not been summoned to visit the king for the last 30 days. Mordecai answered sternly, do not imagine that you of all the Jews would escape with your life by being in the king's palace. On the contrary, if you keep silent, help may come to us from another quarter, while you will perish. And who knows, perhaps you are in the palace for just this crisis. Esther answered, go assemble all the Jews who live in Shushan and fast in my behalf. Do not eat or drink for 3 days. I and my maidens will do the same. Then I shall go to the king against the law, and if I am to perish, I shall perish. So Mordecai went about the city and did just as Esther had commanded him.
And that's it. Okay.
And that's it. Thank you for the mitzvah. Thank you.
So there's no mention of God anywhere in the book of Esther, which is interesting. Although it's obvious that God's working very much behind the scenes, but there's one place that people think maybe it is, and where it says, where Mordecai says to Esther, if you keep silent, help may come to us from another quarter. That's Makom Acher. And one of the rabbinic names for God is Hamakom, the place. So some people see that as God, who will help if necessary. So, Gazal, are you reading? No, don't worry. Dario, chapter 5.
On the third day, Esther put on royal robes and stood in the inner court of the palace while the king was sitting on his throne. As soon as the king saw Queen Esther, she won his favour. The king extended to Esther the golden scepter, and he asked, what troubles you, Queen Esther, and what is your request? Even to half the kingdom it shall be granted to you. Esther answers, if it pleases your majesty, let your majesty and Haman come today to a feast that I have prepared for him. So the king and Haman came to the feast that Esther had prepared. And the king asked again, "What is your wish? It shall be granted you. And what is your request? Even to half the kingdom it shall be fulfilled." Esther answered, "My wish and my request, if your majesty will do me the favour, let your majesty and Haman come again to a feast when I will which I will prepare for them, and tomorrow I will tell your majesty." That day went out happy and light-hearted, but when saw Mordecai in the palace gate, and Mordecai did not rise to him, Haman was filled with rage. Nevertheless, he controlled himself and went home. He sent for his friends and his wife Zeresh, and Haman told them how the king had promoted him. Moreover, Queen Esther gave a feast, and besides the king, she did not have anyone but me. And tomorrow I am invited by her along with the king. Yet all this means nothing to me. Every time I see that Jew Mordecai sitting in the palace gate,
The king.
Oh,
It's missing the word. The king.
okay. Where? Sorry.
No, sorry. It's his wife, actually, isn't it? Sarah, his wife.
Okay. His wife advised Haman to have a stake to be put up and to have Mordecai hanged for it. Then he could go happily with the king to the feast. This pleased Haman, and he had the stake put up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Oh, the plot thickens.
Chapter 6.
That night the king could not sleep, and he ordered the annals to be brought and read to him. There it was written that Mordecai had denounced Bigthan and Teresh, who had plotted to assassinate the king. The king asked, "What honor has been conferred on Mordecai for this?" "Nothing at all has been done for him," said his servant. "Who is in the court?" asked the king. "It is Haman standing in the court," said the servant. "Let him enter." "Haman, what should be done for a man whom the king desires to honor?" Haman thought to himself, "Whom would the king want to honor more than me?" So he answered, "Let that man be dressed in royal robes and paraded through the city square on a horse, on which the king himself has ridden, and on whose head a royal crown has been set, by one of the king's noble courtiers, proclaiming before him, 'This is what is done for the man whom the king desires to honor.'" "Quick then," said the king, "get the robes and the horse, as you have said, and do this to Mordecai the Jew." So Haman took the garb and the horse and paraded Mordecai through the city square, as the king had ordered.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you. Who else do we have who's happy to read? Judith, come on up. Chapter 7.
Whoops. So the king and Haman came to feast with Esther, and the king again asked Esther, "What is your wish, Queen Esther? It shall be granted you. And what is your request? Even to half the kingdom it shall be fulfilled." Esther answered, "If your majesty will do me the favour, grant me my life as my wish, and my people as my request. For we've been sold, my people and I, to be exterminated. Who is he, and where is he who dared to do this?" thundered the king. Esther pointed. "It is the evil Haman. Haman cringed in terror before the king and the queen and started to plead with Queen Esther for his life, falling prostrate onto the couch on which Esther reclined. This enraged the king even more. "Does he mean to harm the queen in my own palace?" he shouted. No sooner had he said this, or one of the servants came in. "A stake is standing at Haman's house, which Haman made for Mordecai, the man who saved the king. Hang him on it," the king thundered. So they hanged Haman on the stake which he had put up for Mordecai.
Sharon. Chapter 8.
That's right. That very day, Mordecai presented himself to the king. The king slipped off his ring, which he had taken back from and gave it to Mordecai. And put Mordecai in charge in Haman. Then Esther beseeched the king to avert the evil plotted by Haman against the Jews. King, Ahasuerus, I was worried this was going to be my paragraph, said to Queen Esther and Mordecai, "You may write with regard to the Jews as you see it. Write it in the king's name and seal it with the king's signet. For an edict that has been written in the king's name and sealed with the king's signet may not be revoked."
Oh, Sam, thank you. Without glasses. Sharon.
And so, on the 13th day of Adar, the very day on which the enemies of the Jews had expected to get them in their power, the opposite happened.
Catherine's going to chant this.
ויכו היהודים בכל אויביהם מכת חרב והרג ועבדם ויעשו ושונאיהם כרצונם ובשושן הבירה הכו היהודים ועבד 500 איש ואת פרשנדה ואת אלפון ואת אשפתה ואת פורתה ואת אלדיה וארביתסה ופרשפתה ואריזה וארידאי ויצאתה 10 בני המן בן המדתה צורר היהודים הגו ובזה לא שלחו את ידם. It's meant to be said in one breath.
Mordecai recorded all these events, and he sent dispatches to all the Jews throughout the provinces of King Ahasuerus, commanding them to observe the 14th and 15th days of Adar every year as days of feasting and merrymaking, as an occasion for sending gifts to one another and presents to the poor.
And the next one as well.
All this is recorded in the annals of the kings of Media and Persia. Mordecai the Jew ranked next to King Ahasuerus and was highly regarded by the Jews as he did good for his people and all his kindred.
ויעשם המלך אחשוורוש מס על הארץ ואיה הים וכל מעשי תקף בו וגבורתו ופרשת גדולת מרדכי אשר גילו המלך הלא הם כתובים על ספר דברי הימים למלכי מדי ופרס כי מרדכי היהודי משנה למלך אחשוורוש וגדול ליהודים ורצוי לרובח אחיו דורש טוב לעמו ודובר שלום לכל זרעו. Well done to all. Let us read the blessing for after reading the Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, haraf et ribeinu, hadan et dinenu, ha'el ha'moshiach. שושנת יעקב, צהלה ושמחה, בראותם יחד, תכלת מרדכי. שושנת יעקב, צהלה ושמחה, בראותם יחד, תכלת מרדכי. תשועתם הייתה לנצח, ותקוותם בכל דור ודור. ברוכה אסתר בתי, ברוך מרדכי היהודי. להודי אשר כל קוויך לא יבושו, ולא יקלמו לנצח כל החוסים בך. ברוך המן אשר ביקש לעבדי, ברוך מרדכי היהודי. ברוכה אסתר בעדי, וגם חרבונה זכור לטוב. שושנת יעקב, צהלה ושמחה, בראותם יחד, תכלת מרדכי. So that brings us to the end of our service. So we come to Aleinu, and let us all stand for Aleinu. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לשאת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגופי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. ידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
על כן נקווה לך, אדוני אלוהינו, לראות מהרה בתפארת עוזך, והאוויר גידולים מן הארץ, והאלילים קרות יכרתו, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, וכל בני בשר יקראו בשמך, להפנות אליך כל רשעי ארץ. יכירו וידעו כל יושבי תבל, כי לך תכרע כל ברך, תשבע כל לשון. לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו, יכרעו ויפולו, ולכבוד שמך יקר ייתנו, ויקבלו כולם את עול מלכותך, ותמלוך עליהם מהרה לעולם ועד. כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יחיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Life is finite. Like a candle, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty, then it fades. Its substance is consumed and it is no more. Yet we do not despair, for we know that we are more than a flickering flame. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and light, of death and life. As in our hearts we name our loved ones, we pray that the divine presence will comfort us and all who mourn. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ve'alma tivrach yivutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayei chon v'yomei chon, לחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה וברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקדושה ובריחו. לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירם בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מישמעיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם ואמרו אמן.
Please be seated. We finish with Chag Purim. Chag Purim, Chag Purim, Chag Gadol HaYehudim. Masechot Rashanim, Zmirot v'Rikudim. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. Havana Risha, Rash, Rash, Rash. ברשנים, חג פורים, חג פורים, חג גדול היהודים, מסכות רשנים, זמירות וריקודים, הבנה רישה, רש רש רש, הבנה רישה, רש רש רש, הבנה רישה, רש רש רש, ברשנים.
And so a concluding blessing. Yivarechecha b'chol tov v'yishmorcha mikol ra, v'ya'ir libcha b'seichel chayim, v'yachoncha b'da'at olamim, v'yisa p'nei chasadav, lecha lishlom olamim. May God bless us all with good and keep us from all evil. May God teach our hearts the meaning of life and grant us knowledge. May God reach out to us all with tenderness, that we may have enduring peace.
Amen.
Chag Sameach, Shavua Tov.
Oh, you want to say something about the...
Oh yes,
Yes. Yeah.
yes.
So
when we go out into the whatever we call it.
Kiddush Hall.
Thank you, the Kiddush Hall. There are, of course, what do we eat on Purim? Ham and tashen. And there are also, so I was alerted to a website called tasteslikehome.co.il. And it contains the favorite recipes of some of the hostages who are held in Gaza. It's a wonderful, wonderful idea to keep the thought of them alive, and in some cases their memory alive. And also it's a lovely thing, I thought, to do for Mishloach Manot for Purim. So I made some abadi cookies that was the favorite recipe of Matan Zangaukar. So they're in the kitchen, but they're savoury, just to warn you, and you bite into them and expect them to be sweet. They're not. I also made, it's not brilliant, but hey, it's okay. It's a maple loaf cake, which was the favourite recipe of Hadar Berdychevsky. And Hadar and her husband Itai were murdered on the 7th of October. They died protecting their 10-month-old twins. The twins survived and are being looked after by their family. But I know across Israel, families are making that maple loaf cake every Shabbat. And in fact, when I was in Israel in February, my cousin indeed made that cake. Hers was much nicer than mine. But it's here anyway. So, and I had all the information about both of them, and I've left it at home, which is very silly. But do have a look on tasteslikehome.co.il, or if you put Tastes Like Home hostages in Google, then it will come up. And it's a good idea to do them, to make those.
I just want to say, you know, on Purim everything is always topsy-turvy and the wrong
really
way
exciting.
around. And I think somehow HaKadosh Baruch Hu organised for Rabbi Rachel to lose her voice and me to lose my puff. So, while normally Rabbi Rachel has the voice of an angel and sings, they had to listen to me instead. So it was topsy-turvy, but I hope it was fun. And it was wonderful to share it with you online as well. I'm sorry we can't share the drinks and the fruit as well, but it's lovely to share the spirit of Purim with you and the drink.
Indeed, well done. And Stefan, thank you so much for hosting and thank you for sharing the screen. Thank you. So, Shavua Tov, everyone, Chag Sameach, and let's go and have a little mini mishteh, little feast of our own. Thank you, thank you.
Well, Shavua Tov, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. As is usual, have a safe journey home, and we'll see you all again soon.